I ended up stealing my sister's best friend, but this wasn't something I actively pursued. It was my sister herself who practically pushed her into my path. She's still the most beautiful among her group of close friends. Thinking back 2 years ago, she was once a breathtaking legend who outshone everyone in our school days. The epitome of a cold, elegant goddess. And yet, just like that, my sister without a word placed her right in front of me. But then in a sudden twist, she warned me to keep my distance from her. Good heavens, it's so awkward. Perhaps that distance unintentionally had quietly begun to shrink without us noticing. That night, the plane landed. I texted my sister, "Asleep yet?" She came to pick me up at the airport. She replied with a voice message, her tone dripping with teasing. "Which little brother are you? Send me a picture so I can see." I didn't hesitate much. I immediately called her via video. I teased, "Tomorrow I'll ask mom and dad just how many little brothers you want." The video connected. On the screen, my sister was lazily curled up on the sofa, the light around her dim and soft, the background buzzing with noise. Her eyes carried a tender, playful charm, a glass of wine in her hand. But the moment our eyes met, she instantly sat up straight, that lazy demeanor vanishing without a trace. She gave an awkward laugh. "I got the wrong person, my bad. Don't tell mom and dad, okay?" I called her the most beautiful girl. "Your best friend will come pick me up." Later on, that most beautiful best friend she spoke of secretly started dating me behind her back. The flight was delayed. I arrived at the airport in the dead of night. The exit at 2:30 a.m. was deserted, a barren wasteland. No cabs were available. With no other choice, I texted my sister Jade, "Asleep yet?" She came to pick me up at the airport. After sending the message, I realized I'd accidentally typed an extra word. Normally, I just call her sis. Calling her like this felt a bit odd. Though we have each other's contact info, our chat history is clean as a whistle, showing how little we talk day to day. Not because our bond isn't strong. It's just that as siblings grow up, there aren't many shared topics left. After waiting a full 10 minutes, she sent a voice messages. "Which little brother are you? Send a picture so I can see." Her teasing tone left me speechless. I knew full well she probably didn't save my name in her phone. I knew she was a queen of the seas, but this brazen attitude, it was my first time facing it hidden. So without hesitation, I called her via video. The video connected. On her end, the light was dim, the background filled with lively chatter. She was lazily sprawled on the sofa, her eyes exuding a carefree allure, elegantly holding a wine glass. But the instant our eyes locked, she seemed frozen in place, immediately sitting upright, that flirtatious laziness evaporating completely. I gave a faint smile. "Tomorrow I'll ask mom and dad just how many little brothers you want." "What do you say?" She couldn't hold it in. She spat out a mouthful of wine, coughing awkwardly in embarrassment. At that moment, someone nearby burst into laughter. "This little brother's pretty handsome. If you don't want him, introduce him to me." She laughed and scolded, "Theft, get lost. This is my real little brother, don't talk nonsense." The phone must have been on the table at first. She reached out to pull the screen closer, her face flushed with embarrassment as she asked, "Why didn't you tell me you were coming back? No heads up at all." I kept a smile on my face, my words laced with a hint of sarcasm. "If I told you in advance, how would I know I had so many brothers out there? And telling mom and dad when I get home." She rubbed her forehead, giving an awkward smile, a bit tipsy as she pleaded, "I'm drunk. Don't tell mom and dad, okay?" I snorted, begrudgingly agreeing. Right then, a clear, pleasant laugh came through the screen. She glanced to the side, then said, "I've been drinking, so I can't drive. I'll send someone to pick you up." As soon as she finished, a chorus of cheers erupted around her. Let me pick up your little brother. You may have lots of brothers, but I can have lots of sisters to write." She laughed, waving her hand. "My little brother's a good boy, super handsome, and incredibly honest. I wouldn't trust you girls to pick him up. You might just eat him alive." Then she looked at me, saying, "I'll call my most beautiful and reliable best friend to pick you up." The screen shifted, and I saw a cold yet stunning face. Grace, her best friend. We'd only met a few times before. She's 2 years older than me. Back in high school, we went to the same school. I'd occasionally see the two of them together as strangers, but we couldn't exactly say we were close. Grace and I had never really talked. Through the screen, our eyes unexpectedly met. My heart skipped a beat, while Grace calmly smiled at me. Before I could react, my sister ended the video call. After hanging up, she transferred me $50,000 as hush money, specifically instructing me not to tell our parents. I quietly accepted the money, sending back an OK emoji. Then she told me to add Grace's contact info and send her my location. I did as told. Grace replied with a single word OK. After sending my location, I boredly gazed into the night. Truth be told, for some reason, I wasn't too keen on Grace picking me up, but I couldn't exactly refuse. Waiting for the car was mind-numbingly dull. I crouched down playing a puzzle game on my phone. Over half an hour later, a white Porsche slowly pulled up in front of me. The window rolled down, and Grace leaned over to look at me, her lips curling into a faint smile. The last time I saw her was back in high school. Now I'd graduated college, and seeing her earlier through the screen didn't feel real. But now falsetto face. As I looked at Grace's face, I was momentarily entranced. In my mind, unbidden, came the old school rumors. School beauty Grace. Her looks could kill. Gorgeous beyond belief. Even after all these years since graduation, her beauty and aura were even more striking than before, surpassing her high school days. Seeing me staring, Grace asked with concern, legs numb. I jolted as if shocked, quickly standing up. My mouth opened, hesitating, unsure how to address her. Calling her by name felt impolite. Calling her sister felt awkward. I fumbled, my face turning red. Grace, seeing my flustered state, probably found my reaction amusing. She let out a soft chuckle, then got out of the car. Her figure was nearly perfect, her form in a white dress, making me too shy to look directly at her. Standing in front of me, she unintentionally exuded pressure. I instinctively stepped back twice. Her voice was gentle, softly asking, "Don't recognize me?" I stammered, "I recognize you." Grace smiled, reaching out to help with my luggage. I wouldn't dare let her lift a finger, quickly dragging my suitcase onto the car myself. Grace, thoughtfully opening the passenger door for me, politely said, "Get in." In the car, I was so nervous I didn't know where to put my hands or feet. Sitting upright like a model student, Grace noticed my awkwardness, so she played some light relaxing music and started chatting with me. Mid-conversation, her phone suddenly rang. I glanced over unintentionally. It was a man's name. She didn't answer, but the caller kept ringing persistently. Grace decisively turned off her phone. My eyes darted around, feeling the atmosphere turn a bit strange. I was thinking of a topic to break the ice when my best friend sent a few voice messages. Voice messages in the middle of the night must be urgent. I tapped to convert them to text, but in my panic I hit the wrong button. My friend's frustrated voice blared from the phone. "God, my girlfriend's allergic to saliva." I flinched in shock, fumbling to turn off the phone. The more I panicked, the worse I messed up. The phone slipped to my feet, and the voice messages kept playing one after another. I worked so hard to win over this aloof beauty. Who can understand the pain of getting halfway undressed, only to be left staring in longing? She's so gorgeous, but I can only look and yearn. When you get a girlfriend, you've got to test things out first, or you'll end up like me. My heart aches. Am I doomed to a lifetime of platonic love? It took all my effort to pick up the phone and finally turn off the screen. The car fell silent at last. At that moment, I just wanted to crawl into a hole. I kept my head down, too embarrassed to lift it. I was secretly relieved the music was still playing, saving me a shred of dignity. Otherwise, I'd have jumped out of the car. I stole a glance at Grace, who was driving calmly. Her profile was serene, giving me the respect of an adult. But the faint smile at the corner of her lips made me a little embarrassed, like a snail retreating into its shell. I stared out the window, barely daring to breathe. At a red light, Grace, who'd been silent, suddenly spoke up. Still with that high school girlfriend? I froze for a moment, then shook my head. No, I don't have a girlfriend. Back in high school, a girl clung to me relentlessly. Once she dragged me around at school, and my sister saw from a distance. Excited, she ran over, planning to tease me a bit. But when she saw the girl's face clearly, her expression changed instantly. She didn't hold back, saying, "Aren't you the one who spread rumors I was dating 3 guys at once? What are you doing clinging to my idiot brother?" The girl stood her ground. "I'm his girlfriend. I'm telling you, Felix is mine. Don't even think about him." Those words lit the fuse of my sister's anger. The two pushed and shoved, then started fighting. I rushed to break it up, trying to pull my sister away, but she got even madder, thinking I was taking sides. The girl, furious, pushed me hard. Grace arrived a bit late. I nearly fell over, and in a survival instinct, I grabbed onto her. My sister and the girl stopped fighting instantly. The girl chasing me shouted at Grace, "Let him go." My sister yelled at me, "Let her go." Those old memories, like a chaotic play, came rushing back vividly. My face burned with embarrassment. The rest of the drive, Grace kept chatting with me, thoughtfully avoiding topics that'd make me uncomfortable. But when we got home, I practically fled. This reunion, after so many years, left me humiliated in front of Grace, feeling like a complete loser. That night, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep, replaying these events in my mind, finally letting out a long sigh, comforting myself. After all, Grace and I probably won't cross paths again. I'm from the South, but I studied college in the North for 4 years, then got into grad school there, after working for 2 years. This time I came back, first to quit my job and plan to develop my career in the South, second to attend my cousin's wedding. These past few days, the house has been bustling. The entire family of Uncle 3 from the Lane clan came over. My sister has her own place elsewhere. A classic, strong, independent woman. She rarely stays home. I've been back for a week and only saw her once. Today was a family dinner, so she had to show up. No idea how late she was out last night. Her phone wouldn't pick up. Dad was furious, telling me to go find her. Her place isn't far, a 20-minute drive. I have fingerprint access, so getting in was easy. As soon as I stepped inside, a strong smell of alcohol, mixed with a faint trace of cigarette smoke, hit me. The living room table was littered with empty wine bottles. I frowned, quickly heading toward the master bedroom. The door wasn't closed. The bed curtains were drawn tight. The room pitch black. I yanked the window curtains open, and the room instantly flooded with light. The person on the bed instinctively pulled the blanket higher, covering their face. Annoyed, I stepped to the bedside and shouted, "Get up." Then I ripped the blanket off. Before me was a figure with the most perfect curves of a woman. My calm, still heart, upon seeing Grace's face, surged like a stormy sea. After I pulled the blanket off, Grace slowly opened her eyes. Under her messy hair, her gaze was dreamy, but within seconds, she was fully awake. We stared at each other, and in that moment my face flushed red. Grace reacted, quickly pulling the blanket to cover herself, scrambling to turn and run. In her panic, she kicked the bed frame, the pain making me cry out involuntarily. I crouched down, clutching my foot, groaning. Grace, hearing the noise, sat up from the bed, worriedly asking, "You okay?" Her voice was still husky from just waking up. The blanket slipped, revealing a spaghetti strap top. That cold, stunning face created a visual shock, making my heart race even more than when I saw her on the bed. Ignoring my aching foot, I didn't answer her, quickly standing and bolting out of the room. Outside, my heart pounded uncontrollably, blood rushing to my head. At that moment, I heard my sister's slow footsteps from the living room. Her hair was a mess like a bird's nest. Her eyes dazed. Seeing me, she jumped, then let out a relieved sigh. I sneered, "Thought I was one of your good brothers." She smoothed her hair, saying, "What are you talking about? I'm a respectable woman. Why are you here?" I replied, "Uncle 3's family is here. Dad says you need to come home for the family dinner tonight." I added smugly, "I called but you didn't pick up. Get ready to get scolded when you're back." While talking to her, Grace walked out of the master bedroom. She was now dressed neatly, in simple gray-white loungewear, looking clean and refined the moment our eyes met. Both of us felt a bit awkward. My sister didn't notice our odd vibe, casually introducing us. She told me to stay put, then went to the bathroom. This left me and Grace staring at each other awkwardly. I gave a forced smile and stepped into the living room. Grace followed, starting to clean up the wine bottles and cigarette butts. I offered to help, but she stopped me. Sit down. I've got this. As she cleaned, she explained, yesterday was my birthday. Everyone celebrated and it went late. Didn't have time to tidy up. My place is under renovation, so I'm staying at your sister's for now. Grace glanced at me, a bit apologetic. Sorry, I didn't know you'd come by just now. She paused, then added, I'll be more careful next time. I awkwardly replied I was too reckless. Something this embarrassing had happened before. Back in 11th grade, Grace slept over at our house. I didn't know, and one Saturday morning, I put on a creepy monster mask, planning to sneak into my sister's room to scare her. Payback for her prank the previous weekend. I tiptoed close to her bed, only to realize something was off. When I got right up to the bed, I saw Grace's face. She suddenly opened her eyes, her pupils contracting, her whole body jolting upright. I was just as startled. My face red as I stammered apologies, then fled. Afterward, at the breakfast table, my sister laughed so hard she couldn't sit straight. Under Grace's gaze, I was mortified, quickly eating and escaping. That incident from years ago, now recalled, had turned into a fond, amusing memory. Looking at the birthday cake tossed in the trash, I politely said to Grace, "Happy birthday." Grace reached out, smiling as she asked, "Got a gift for me?" I froze, stammering I didn't bring anything. Next time, okay. Grace burst out laughing. Just kidding. Your birthday wishes are the best gift. She looked at me, her eyes sparkling with amusement. I quickly averted my gaze. Changing the topic, why are you sleeping in the master bedroom? Grace replied, your sister said, only you've slept in that room before, and you left some stuff there. I felt it wasn't right, so I took the master bedroom. After finishing my master's, my parents pushed me to work at the family company for half a year. The company was near my sister's place, so I stayed there during that time. Then I went back to the north, and only now decided to return for good. Grace moved swiftly, tidying up the living room in no time. You could tell she was great at housework, completely unlike my sister, who's hopeless at it. Once done, Grace grabbed a first aid kit, came over to me and crouched down. Let me check your injury. I was surprised by her thoughtfulness, awkwardly pulling my foot back, waving my hand, no need, I can handle it. But Grace said I studied medicine. This is my expertise, don't worry. She looked up at me, her double-lidded eyes gentle, her gaze stunningly beautiful, her dark pupils clear and bright, like moonlight on a stream. Under her gaze, I nodded. Grace studied medicine in college, but sadly her hand was injured. Though it healed without affecting daily life, she couldn't hold a scalpel steadily, so she had to switch careers. When my sister told me this story, I felt such a pity for her. She was truly talented. Now Grace gently rolled up my pant leg, revealing a bruised patch on my calf, startling to look at. Her hands were beautiful, slender and balanced, smooth and fair. Her warm fingertips lightly touched the bruise, asking, does it hurt? I took a sharp breath, nodding a little. I don't know if it was the lingering alcohol in the air, but my head felt dizzy. The spot where Grace touched me felt strangely tingly. Grace held my ankle, preparing to apply the ointment. My sister walked out, fresh from her shower, steam still rising from her. Suspiciously, she asked, what's going on here? I stammered, but Grace calmly answered for me. He accidentally kicked the bed frame. My sister looked at Grace's hands, frowning, crouching down and pushing her aside. I'll do it. Grace naturally stepped back, standing to the side, her eyes lowered, watching my sister's movements. Her lips slightly pursed, looking a bit displeased. My sister applied the ointment roughly and carelessly, finishing quickly, standing up to grab a tissue. I'd expected her to be like this, So I took the ointment and carefully reapplied it myself. My sister, always a bit clueless, paused while wiping her hands, asking me what were you yelling about earlier. I blinked, making up an excuse, saw a cockroach. Grace, hearing my response, gave me a strange look. Feeling guilty, I avoided her gaze. On the way home, my sister drove and said to me, "Why don't you have any sense of boundaries with women? No restraint at all. Grace was putting ointment on you and you just let her. Men and women shouldn't be too close, got it?" Her words made me both embarrassed and annoyed. I retorted, "What nonsense are you spouting? Are we living in ancient times?" She said she studied medicine. Just checking my injury. Why overthink it? She didn't have any ulterior motives, did she? My sister snorted, continuing, "Because she's my best friend. I'm warning you to keep your distance from her. I know you guys too well. No matter how good or noble you seem, deep down you're all lecherous. I'm not saying Grace has issues. I'm worried you'll have improper thoughts about her." I was visibly irritated. Grumbling, "Sis, I'm your real brother. Don't you know me? I've always been proper. You can trust me completely." She smirked, a teasing glint in her eyes, and kept probing. "Then be honest with me. In all those years in the North, have you had a girlfriend? I heard that high school girl followed you up there. Don't be foolish. Looking at your naive face, you're an easy target for bad girls. That's not love." I sighed helplessly, rubbing my head, arguing back, "Sis, stop picking on me. Look at yourself first. You've got suitors lining up left and right, dating one after another since we were kids, playing the field every day. Manage your own life first, before saying I'll get tricked by some bad girl." My words made her laugh in anger. She reached out and pinched my arm hard, making me wince in pain. She pretended to be fierce. "You little punk, daring to lecture me now. I'm teaching you. Loyalty is a man's best quality. If you dare be a jerk, I'll be the first to not let you off." I looked at her lazily, seriously asking, "Have you managed that yourself?" The moment she heard this, she grabbed my neck with her elbow, her face sporting a cold smile, saying, "What's that supposed to mean? The family's been pressuring me to marry lately. Every time I seriously tell you, marriage isn't a small matter. You have to be careful. It's like a city under siege. Easy to enter, hard to leave. You're too honest. Always cooped up at home like a bookworm. Don't let someone trick you. If you like someone, you have to let me check her out first. I'll vet her for you." The funniest thing is when the family set me up on blind dates, finding matches from similar backgrounds. In front of our parents, my sister would tear them apart, leaving no stone unturned. She'd frown, her face full of disdain, saying, "This girl seems gentle, but she's actually super arrogant. Her temper's out of control. That guy's always drunk and loves gambling. Not an ounce of decency. This one's looks are honestly subpar. My brother wouldn't even glance at her. That one's degree is all fluff. Obviously unreliable. No way. That family's got a ton of stepkids. Relationships tangled like a mess of yarn. Can't get involved. Rarely they'd find a beautiful, gentle, and talented girl." But my sister still shook her head. "She's good. Perfect in every way. But I heard she keeps a boy toy on the side. That type's no good. Even the last one with impeccable background, looks, ability, and demeanor." My sister still wasn't satisfied, saying, "Haze to perfect. I'm afraid hell swallow our family company whole. Then we'll all be out in the cold." Our parents were left speechless by her nitpicking, finally stomping their feet in frustration, pointing at her. "Then you find a flawless girl for your brother." My sister thought it over, then dodged the issue, seriously saying, "Let him find his own. Marriage isn't all that great. I think being single is freer." As a result, Mom chased her down the street with a broom. These past few days the house has been lively, with relatives visiting in waves. My sister took the chance to slip away, and I followed suit. My heartbroken friend dragged me to a karaoke club. He looked miserable, holding the mic and lamenting. "Tell me, why is it like this? She's so beautiful, with such a kind heart, but we're like star-crossed lovers. No matter what, we can't be together." I patted his shoulder, comforting him. "Does it have to be about being together? If you really like her, Loving her in spirit is fine too. As long as you hold each other in your hearts, that's enough. My friend gave me a strange look, helplessly saying you wouldn't understand. You have to experience it to get it. How can someone who's never been through it understand? While we were talking, my phone kept buzzing. I stepped outside to take the call. Just as I hung up, the door to the opposite room opened. Grace stood there in a short black dress. Both of us froze. The frequency of our meetings was uncanny, like it was planned. I was about to say hi when a burst of cheers came from behind her. Grace gave me a helpless smile, asking, "Can you help me with something? I lost a game," and drew a big dare. She handed me a slip of paper. It read, "Find someone of the opposite sex to sit on their lap and feed them wine." I read it and shook my head frantically, like a rattle, quickly saying, "No way. I really can't do that." Seeing my firm refusal, Grace's eyes showed a hint of disappointment. She said, "Fine. You'll take the penalty then." Curious, I asked softly, "What's the penalty?" "A bottle of wine." I remembered the last time she picked me up at the airport. She mentioned that years of socializing had ruined her stomach. Drinking too much could land her in the hospital. Normally, she tried to avoid alcohol. I knew in my heart those people were up to no good, deliberately bullying her. Seeing her calm expression, my heart softened. In a rush of impulsiveness, I agreed. When I stood in front of Grace with the wine glass, I was already regretting it. So many eyes were staring at us, making me feel uneasy all over. Grace sat on the sofa, gently taking my hand. Her hand was warm and firm, carrying a hint of reassurance, slowly pulling me closer. I tried to sit off to one side, thinking it'd be less awkward, but she suddenly pulled hard, and I ended up fully on her lap. Wine splashed onto both of us. I shyly looked into her beautiful eyes. She softly said, "Hurry up, or the wine will go to waste." I held the glass, my hand trembling, slowly bringing it to her lips. The wine flowed down her throat, a bit spilling out, trickling along the curve of her neck, sliding down to her collarbone. The sight was heart-stirring. The game ended. Grace's eyes were slightly red at the corners, staring at me intensely. My heart raced, wanting to get off her lap, but she suddenly hugged me, whispering, "Your sister's here." I instantly froze, my scalp tingling, not daring to move. Thankfully, Grace stayed calm, leading me out of the room. When I came to my senses, I was already in her car. She smiled and asked, "If your sister caught us, it'd be a big deal. Why are you so scared of her?" I gave a bitter smile, shaking my head. I called my friend, and he said, "Something's off. Grace definitely has a thing for you. I've been in enough relationships to know that feeling, but I thought the idea was absurd. These encounters were just coincidences." Still, that ambiguous moment truly left my heart in a mess. Speaking of Lily, I got a headache. She'd been chasing me since high school, followed me to the north for college, and even applied for the same grad school. We ended up at the same company. Her persistence was both admirable and exhausting. Her conditions were great, beautiful, capable, and devoted to me, but I really had no feelings for her. Her devotion felt like a burden. The call at the karaoke club was from her. I had a minor surgery elsewhere and didn't tell the family. Somehow she found out, rushing to the hospital to care for me for a week. No matter how I tried to send her away, she wouldn't leave. I had to endure her affection, since I still had work to hand over. I hadn't deleted her contact. After joining the new company, I found out Grace's company was in the building across from mine. At lunch, she invited me to eat. I initially declined, but she called my sister, who agreed, leaving me no way to refuse. So we became lunch buddies. Grace always spoke gently and softly, making it comfortable to be around her. Sometimes my sister joined us, even telling Grace to introduce me to a girlfriend. Grace smiled once after working late. I left the company and saw Lily. She stood by the road, stepping toward me. "Felix, I've been looking for you," I said helplessly. "Lily, stop wasting your time on me." But she stubbornly replied, "You're still single, so I still have a chance." I was so frustrated, I snapped, "If I like someone else, if I love someone else, will you give up?" Her eyes red, she shouted, "No way." Then she threw herself into my arms. I tried to push her away, but she clung tightly. At that moment, my sister appeared, yanking her off me, coldly saying, "You again? Why are you like a ghost that won't go away? My brother said he doesn't like you. Don't you understand plain language?" Lily recognized my sister and didn't dare argue, but still said, "Sis, I like Felix. I'll always like him." My sister scoffed, "Who's your sister?" I quickly pulled my sister back, afraid they'd fight. My sister shoved me into the car, telling me to go home, saying she'd deal with Lily. Looking at her back, my heart was a mix of emotions. I remembered in middle school, when some thugs cornered me. My sister stood in front of me with a fruit knife, telling them, "My brother's only for me to bully. Anyone who touches him, I'll fight to the death." From then on, I vowed to get stronger, to protect her. Later, we met Grace. She was being harassed by a group of boys. I fought for her my first group brawl, and though I was battered, we won. I'll always remember Grace in her faded blue and white uniform, buttons fastened to the top, her face full of fear and helplessness. From then on, she and my sister became best friends. Grace comforted me, "Don't worry. Your sister's not easily taken down." I looked at her, summoning all my courage to say, "Last time I helped you. This time can you help me?" With that, I grabbed her hand and walked toward my sister and Lily. Both turned around at the same time, stunned to see us holding hands. I quickly introduced, "This is my girlfriend." Lily couldn't believe it, screaming, "You're lying." Grace stepped in front of me, calmly saying, "Hey, he's not lying. He was just afraid his sister would object, so we kept it secret. Your persistence is already troubling us." Lily shouted Grace's name in rage, asking me why her. My mind raced, and I blurted out, "Because she's prettier than you." The moment the words left my mouth, the air went dead silent. Grace's eyes flashed with surprise. Lily, stunned for a long moment, said, "Just because of that?" I nodded stiffly. "Yeah, I'm shallow like that. I only care about looks. To me, she's the most beautiful woman I've ever met. Plus, she's my sister's friend. We know each other well and are a great match." Lily looked at us, her lips trembling, suddenly bursting into tears. Grace pulled me away. My sister behind us smoked a cigarette, her eyes complex. On the way home, halfway there, my sister suddenly asked, "You two are faking it, right?" Grace smiled, "It's not fake. What, don't want me as your sister-in-law?" My sister shot me a sharp look. I quickly explained, "It's fake. It was my idea." Grace laughed, "Just kidding. Look how nervous you are." Sitting in the back, I looked at my palm, recalling how Grace had tightly interlaced our fingers, saying it'd look more real. My heart was a mess. My friend and his aloof girlfriend had reconciled. Curious, I asked, "Didn't you say she was allergic and you wanted to break up?" He said she agreed to see a doctor and he wanted to try again. He dragged me to stand outside his girlfriend's hospital room. I awkwardly wanted to leave, but he held me back. When we met the doctor, I realized it was a man. After talking, we learned his girlfriend had no physical issues. It was psychological. She needed a therapist. My friend was overjoyed, saying, "Great, we still have a chance." I really didn't want to hear about their private matters, eager to leave. But as I stepped out, I ran into Grace. She looked at me in surprise, and I was equally shocked. At that moment, the doctor Tom called out to her. Grace walked over and gave him a hug. My heart inexplicably felt uneasy as my friend pulled me away. I kept wondering about their relationship. My friend said, "If you're curious, just ask her." Later, I saw Grace again. My friend bluntly asked if she and Dr. Tom were a couple. Grace smiled politely, "No, we're neighbors. I work in medical equipment and collaborate with the hospital. I stopped by to visit him." She glanced at me, adding, "Dr. Tom has a girlfriend, my college friend." My friend pushed me forward, saying, "You to head back together. I'm staying with my girlfriend." In the elevator, it got crowded. Grace accidentally tripped into my arms, softly saying, "Sorry." I blushed, shaking my head, "It's fine." As the elevator doors opened, I hurried out. Looking at Grace, I saw a female doctor with a similar figure step into the elevator. I couldn't help but stare, imagining Grace in a white lab coat as a doctor. I knew her dream was to be a doctor. My sister said she was an excellent student, highly praised by her teachers. But her hand injury shattered that dream. Thinking of this, my heart felt heavy. Grace gently hugged me, saying life goes on. Things are good now. Besides, I have something I want more. I looked at her, wanting to ask what she wanted, but she smiled. Want to see me in a lab coat? Next time I'll wear one for you, okay? I blushed, my heart hopping like a rabbit. From then on, my relationship with Grace became subtly complex. That feeling was vague, making me want to get closer yet slightly afraid. It wasn't until a department party that I finally understood my heart. At the party, Grace was pressured to drink by male colleagues and her male boss. It started with simple toasts, but then they used welcoming new staff as an excuse to keep pouring her drinks. Grace couldn't handle much alcohol. Too much would make her drunk and hurt her stomach. Feeling uneasy, she sent me her location and room number, even calling me. But a male colleague next to her cut the call, saying your boyfriend rushing you home. Such a buzzkill. When I arrived, Grace had locked herself in the bathroom. After sending the message, 2 other female colleagues were called away by the men. She tried to leave with them but was stopped, so she used the bathroom as an excuse, locking herself in. The people outside waited 10 minutes, then started pounding on the door. She was drunk, her head spinning, and out of fear, she bit her hand hard. Only when she heard my voice did she open the door. I saw the guys outside cowering on the floor. My voice was full of anger as I led her away. In the car, I asked how she was feeling. She shook her head. She reached out, touching my red eyes, softly saying, "Don't be mad." Then she threw herself into my arms, holding me tightly. Drunk, she was bolder than usual, looking up to ask, "Do you like me?" I froze, taking a moment to say yes. She smiled happily, kissing my cheek. "I like you too." I could hardly believe it, asking, "Do you know what you're saying?" She nodded firmly, kissing my eyes, playfully wriggling. My heart raced, my breathing heavy. She looked at me, smiling. "I really want to do something naughty." I swallowed, asking, "What naughty thing?" She leaned close to my ear, whispering, "I want to sleep with you." Panicked, I quickly covered her mouth. She laughed at my reaction. From that moment, Grace and I were officially together. But we kept it from my sister. Grace wanted to be open, but I hesitated, saying we'd wait until my sister was back from her trip, or after our cousin's wedding. Grace was a bit unhappy, saying, "How long are you going to hide it? Am I that embarrassing?" I gave a bitter smile. "My sister will kill me if she finds out." As we spoke, the sound of my sister's high heels echoed. I panicked and dove under Grace's desk. My sister came in, chatting with Grace. From under the desk, I stared at Grace's slender legs, my face burning red. My sister said, "I suspect my brother's dating someone. He's been acting different lately. Have you seen him with any girls?" I quickly poked Grace's foot, begging her not to spill the truth. Grace glanced at me, lightly pressing her foot against my waist, saying, "It's normal for him to date. Why do you meddle so much?" My sister huffed, "I just want to see which girls got such bad taste." Grace didn't respond, looking at me pleadingly under the desk, her lips pursed, a bit displeased. When my sister left, I crawled out from under the desk. Grace pulled me close, kissing me until I melted, then bit my ear, saying, "If you don't tell her after the wedding, I'll do it myself." I nodded frantically. My sister started dropping hints, asking if I was dating. I played dumb. She asked again, "If you're in love, what's your plan?" Then she laughed, "I'm just checking, what can I do?" I deliberately brought up a variety show, where the host asked a girl group member, "If you had a brother, who'd you introduce him to?" I casually asked my sister, "How would you answer?" She glanced at me as if anyone would want you. I felt frustrated and didn't dare ask more. These days, my sister's been coming home often. When I go out, she asks where I'm going. If I'm not back by 9 p.m., she calls asking if I'm up to no good. When she went on her business trip, I finally dared to drink with my friend. My friend and my sister don't get along. They argue every time they meet. At the bar, he criticized her for being overbearing, saying he and his girlfriend were stuck in a platonic relationship, and he couldn't take it anymore. He slyly asked, "How far have you and Grace gone?" I blushed, shaking my head. "Not that far." Past 10 p.m. Grace came to find me. My friend whispered with a cheeky grin, "Make sure to test the goods." Embarrassed, I kicked him. Grace grabbed my hand and pulled me out of the bar. I noticed she was running a feverish slight one. I asked if she came from my sister's place. She nodded but seemed distracted. Her phone rang. Seeing the caller's name, her eyes turned cold and she didn't answer. Curious, I asked, "Who was that?" Her voice was icy. "My mom. She's here to ask for money." Her tone full of greed and shamelessness. I was raised by my grandparents. After my dad passed away, she abandoned me, remarrying without a backward glance. She never cared for me. Over the years, she never fulfilled a mother's duties. Now she's raised her stepchild into a useless mess. And old and alone, she shamelessly comes to me. Back then, I couldn't afford tuition. Full of hope, I sought her out. But all I got was a scolding and a cold dismissal. She screamed at me not to come back. Now, out of some lingering blood tie, I give her minimal support for her old age. Anything more, not a cent from me. I'd heard about Grace's background from my sister. She's so radiant, drawing countless male gazes on the street. That also sparked jealousy from some girls. Those people, full of malice, set up a scheme when she was working part-time for tuition. Her hand was crushed into broken glass. That brutal pain not only left a permanent scar on her hand, but also severed her path to becoming a doctor. Yet the culprits, they paid a small medical fee and walked away, untouched by justice. Grace looked at me cautiously, her eyes full of worrying, softly asking, "Do you think I'm cold and heartless?" I gripped her hand tightly, my eyes red, firmly saying, "No, I think you're too kind. I wish those who hurt you would face the punishment they deserve." I paused, then added, "Why not block her? Ignore her, she doesn't deserve it." Grace gave a bitter smile, her eyes flashing with a cold glint, slowly saying, "I'm not that kind. Keeping this contact is just so I can feel as long as she's alive. I still have some semblance of family, even if that bond is long dead in all but name." Only then did I realize, beneath her strong yet gentle exterior, lay such a fragile and dark past. I couldn't help but hug her tightly, choking out, "From now on, I'll be your family. I'll always be by your side." Grace looked up, gently kissing the corner of my lips, her voice soft but resolute. "I just want you to be my lover." These past 2 days, my sister's been on her business trip. Grace has been staying alone. I touched her forehead. It was burning hot, not just a slight fever. Worried, I decided to stay at my sister's place tonight to care for her. Grace hesitated for a long time, then softly nodded in agreement. Back at the house, I checked her temperature. Good heavens, 39 degrees Celsius. I urged Grace to go to bed, quickly fetching a glass of water and placing fever medicine gently on her nightstand. Grace obediently took the medicine, watching as I held a damp cloth, gently wiping her face bit by bit. She lowered her eyes, her tone a bit playful. "If I weren't sick, I just want to kiss you right now." My heart warmed, pausing for a few seconds, then slowly leaning down, lightly touching my lips to hers. Unexpectedly, she grabbed my hand, pulling hard. I fell onto the bed, her feverish body like a furnace. Her hot lips pressed gentle kisses across my face, lightly brushing the corner of my mouth, but not going deeper. She looked at me deeply, then hugged me tightly, slowly closing her eyes. I was sweating from her embrace, squirming slightly, trying to slip out of the blanket to breathe, but she held me tighter, not letting me go. In the struggle, Grace's knee accidentally brushed against me. I couldn't help letting out a soft moan. She seemed startled awake, instinctively reaching out to touch me, her eyes misty with a dreamy haze, smiling faintly and burning up here. At my cousin's wedding, Grace attended dressed stunningly. I glanced over and saw my sister staring at the groom on stage, her eyes slightly red. The sight shocked me, my mind instantly conjuring a dramatic urban soap opera. I couldn't help but shift my suspicious gaze to Grace sitting next to my sister. Grace noticed my look, gently patting my sister's shoulder. softly saying, "Keep it together." My sister then pulled her gaze back, seeing my odd expression, and laughed. "Don't overthink it." But how could I not? My sister, usually so carefree, rarely had such a melancholic moment. Curiosity clawed at me like a cat, making me restless. When Grace got up to use the restroom, I hurriedly followed, hearing my footsteps. She stopped and turned to look at me. I stepped closer, grabbing her hand, pulling her into the stairwell nearby, eagerly asking, "What's the deal with my sister and my cousin's husband?" Grace looked at me helplessly, explaining we were classmates. "He was your sister's first love, but they broke up years ago. She's just feeling nostalgic." I was shocked, eyes wide, pressing, "Does my cousin know about this?" Grace calmly said she knows. I clutched my head, groaning, "Oh God, save me. Your relationships are too complicated." Grace chuckled, asking, "That complicated?" I frowned, looking pained. "Of course. At future family gatherings. How awkward will it be? Just thinking about it feels weird." Grace, both annoyed and amused, said, "Don't overthink. It's not that complicated. Your sister let go long ago. Is it as weird as you trapping me here, not letting me use the restroom?" Her teasing tone made me realize my mistake. Embarrassed, I scratched my head. "Well, go ahead." Grace looked at me, her eyes full of amusement, gently lifting my chin, then leaning down to kiss me. Her kiss started as a soft brush across my lips, then deepened. Grace's kiss was gentle like a spring breeze, making me instantly lose myself. In this dim corner, her kisses trailed from my lips to my neck, until I softly stopped her. She reluctantly pulled back. We lingered a bit longer. Then I decided to leave first. But as I pushed the door open, I ran straight into my sister. I panicked, my face flushing red. Grace stepped out behind me. My sister's expression wasn't pleasant, her eyes darting between us, coldly saying, "Explain." Back at the wedding, my sister's face was still dark and stormy. Unlike her usual self, she didn't lecture me outright, instead silently lighting a slim cigarette, smoking with a detached air. Her lack of reaction made me even more uneasy. It wasn't until the ceremony shifted and the banquet began that she suddenly spoke, telling me to sit at another table. Grace glanced at her but said nothing. Seeing my sister in a bad mood, I obediently moved to our parents' table. Mom looked at me with disdain, saying, "With so many young people here, why are you squeezing in with the old folks? There are plenty of pretty young girls today. Go mingle, make friends. I'm not asking you to date right away." After saying that, her eyes suddenly lit up, like she'd spotted a treasure. She grabbed my hand, pulling me to Grace's side, pushing me to sit down. Mom sat next to her too. My sister's face darkened instantly. She'd just sent me away, and now Mom plopped me back, right beside Grace. Grace politely greeted, "Hi, Auntie." Mom smiled so wide her eyes crinkled, cheerfully saying, "Grace, you haven't visited in ages. You're even more beautiful than before. Who have you been busy with lately?" Mom was clearly probing about her career. Then she asked, "Came alone?" "No boyfriend." Her intentions were obvious, checking on Grace's love life. Everyone at the table caught Mom's drift. I lowered my head in embarrassment. My sister couldn't take it, interrupting Mom, only to get a glare and a nudge to get married herself, forcing her to shut up. Grace clearly understood Mom's aim, patiently and seriously answering every question, not brushing anything off. The satisfaction in Mom's eyes practically spilled over. She asked Grace, "What kind of guy do you like?" Grace glanced at me. My ears instantly turned red. I tugged at Mom's sleeve, signaling her to stop, but she ignored me, pointing straight at me. "What about our Felix?" Grace's gaze landed on me, full of amusement, seriously saying, "Felix is great, handsome, smart, kind, and honest. Whoever marries him will be the luckiest person alive." Mom laughed so hard she couldn't close her mouth, happier than me, the actual subject. From that day on, every few days, Mom invited Grace over for dinner. My sister, seeing this, gave me a good smack. I grinned to appease her. "Does your hand hurt from hitting me?" The tactic worked. She laughed, scolding, "You little punk. You're something else. My best friend. And you dared to secretly win her over." She paused, sighing. Honestly, I suspected it for a while. She's probably liked you for a long time. I have to say, my sister's intuition was spot on. When Grace was renovating her place and shopping for furniture, I tagged along. In her study, I stumbled across an old phone. Some inexplicable urge made me turn it on. What I saw was an album filled with pictures of me, from my awkward teenage years to now. Each photo captured a moment of me. At that moment, my sister sent a voice messages, breaking the silence. Looking at myself in the album, I realized Grace had quietly cared for me all these years, secretly liking me for over a decade. I held the phone and found Grace. Seeing it in my hand, her ears turned red. I grinned, asking, "Why didn't you confess back then?" Grace lowered her head, her voice soft but tinged with bitterness. "I didn't dare. At 16, despite being liked by many boys and excelling in school, I was deeply insecure. My family was poor. I had nothing. I was looking up from the bottom. How could I dare touch you so radiant? I could only watch you from afar, hiding my feelings, making them my biggest secret. Until now." She finally stood on equal footing with me. In the light, she could boldly tell everyone, "I like Felix." I gently kissed Grace, softly saying, "I really like you too." Perhaps years ago, Grace planted a seed of love in my heart. Through the years of tempering, today it finally sprouted, growing strong, bearing the sweet fruit of love. I gently kissed Grace, softly saying, "I really like you too." Perhaps years ago,